Shalom and welcome to Grim Survival. This is going to be a random Bible reading. Random. I try to do these twice a week. Well, I haven't really done it twice a week, but a couple of times just because my schedule's been insane. But I'm going to try to do it more because it's needed. For my own personal sake, it's needed. Yeah. So, the events of today, and yeah, I'm recording this on the 6th, and it's around 8:30 in the evening currently. The events of today have just made me realize that I've lost all hope in our nation, and maybe I shouldn't have had hope there at all. My faith, obviously, is here, and hope and faith are two different things. So I put my faith in the Father, and I think trusting His will and trusting Him throughout all of what is already happening and what's bound to continue happening is needed for me personally. That's what I think. So last time we left off at Genesis 39, we had just gotten into the story of Joseph, or if you're trying to read it in Hebrew, it's actually pronounced Yosef, I think. I don't know, Y-O-S-E with a little thing above it, P-H. So there is no J word in Hebrew, no J sound or letter, I don't think. But yeah, I'm not an expert on the subject. I'm not. But anyway, we left off with the story of Joseph. We were just getting into it where his brothers were set out to kill him because of his dreams. They didn't like what he was telling them about his dreams, and they didn't like that he was seen as the favorite by their father, and they set out to kill him. The youngest sibling talked him out of it. They threw him in a pit, and then when the youngest went away, they sold him into slavery to people that were heading to Mitzrayim, which if you're not reading from the scriptures, Mitzrayim will be translated to Egypt. So yeah, keep that in mind as I'm referring to Mitzrayim. In this, we're actually talking about Egypt. So anyway, starting at 39. And Joseph had been taken down to Mitzrayim, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, and a Mitzrayite, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. And it came to be that Yahweh was with Joseph, and he became a prosperous man, and was in the house of his master, the Mitzrayite. And his master saw that Yahweh was with him, and that Yahweh made all he did prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his eyes and served him. And he appointed him over his house, and gave him into his hand all that he had. And it came to be, from the time that he appointed him over his house and all that he had, that Yahweh blessed the Mitzrayite, I don't know how to say it, Mitzrayite, I guess, the Mitzrayite's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of Yahweh was on all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left in Joseph's hands all that he had, and he did not know what he had expect for the bread which he ate. And Joseph was handsome in form and handsome in appearance. And after these events, it came to be that his master's wife lifted up her eyes to Joseph and said, "Lie with me." Yeah. But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has given into my hands all that he has. No one is greater in this house than I, and he has not withheld whatever from me but you. And because you are his wife, and how shall I do this great evil and sin against Elohim?" And it came to be as she spoke to Joseph day by day that he did not listen to her, to lie with her, or to be with her. And it came to be on a certain day when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house was inside, that she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." But he left his garment in her hand and fled and ran outside. And it came to be when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and fled outside, she called to the men of her house and spoke to them, saying, "See, he has brought into us a Hebrew to mock us. He came into me to lie with me, And I cried out with a loud voice. And it came to be, when he had heard that I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled and went outside. She kept his garment with her until her master came home, and she spoke to him these same words, saying, The Hebrew servant whom you brought to us came in to me to mock me. So it came to be, as I lifted my voice and cried out, that he left his garment with me and fled outside. And it came to be, when his master heard the words which his wife spoke to him, saying, Your servant did to me according to these words, that his displeasure burned. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the sovereign's prisoners were confined, and he was there in the prison. A sovereign is a king, or in this case the Pharaoh. But Yahweh was with Joseph and extended loving commitment to him, and he gave him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. Loving commitment. That's a very interesting term, isn't it? About how the Father is giving, in this translation, loving commitment to Joseph. And now, how would Joseph receive such a gift? By doing as he was commanded to do by the Elohim, by not sinning, trying to be a righteous man. Right? That's my interpretation. But Yahweh was with Joseph and extended loving commitment to him, and he gave him favor in the eyes of the prison warden. And the prison warden gave into the hand of Joseph all the prisoners who were in the prison. And whatever was done there was his doing. The prison warden did not look into any point that was under Joseph's hand, because Yahweh was with him, and whatever he did, Yahweh made it prosper. So that is definitely interesting, especially the part about the wife, right? I mean, how many times in modern culture has a man been accused of something he didn't do and been imprisoned for it? It happens quite often. And, I know stories of, just because they said it, a guy who hadn't done anything was locked away for it. This happens all the time. And all it takes is one person to claim that you did something. And then, guilty until proven innocent. But that's not this video. Anyway, continuing with chapter 40. And after these events, it came to be that the cupbearer and the baker of the sovereign of Mitzrayim sinned against their master, the sovereign of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh was wroth with his two officers, the chief cupbearer and the chief baker. So he put them in confinement in the house of the captain of the guard, in the prison, the place where Joseph was a prisoner. And the captain of the guard put Joseph in charge of them, and he served them. So they were in confinement for some time. Then the cupbearer and the baker of the sovereign of Mitzrayim, who were confined in the prison, dreamed a dream, both of them, each man's dream in one night, each man's dream with its own interpretation. And Joseph came in to them in the morning and looked at them and saw that they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers who were with him in confinement of his master's house, saying, Why do you look so sad today? And they said to him, We each have dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. And Joseph said to them, Do not interpreters belong to Elohim? Relate them to me, please. So the chief cupbearer related his dream to Joseph and said to him, See, in my dream a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was through it bubbled or budded. It was through and it bubbled. Or budded. I'm not reading very well today. Its blossoms shot forth, and its clusters brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, so I took the grapes and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said to him, This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within 3 days Pharaoh is going to lift up your head and restore you to your place, and you shall put Pharaoh's cup in his hand according to the former ruling when you were his cupbearer. But remember me when it is well with you, and please show loving commitment to me, and mention me to Pharaoh, and get me out of this house. For truly I was stolen away from the land of the Hebrews, and also I have done naught that they should put me into a dungeon." And the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, and he said to Joseph, "I also was in my dream, and saw 3 white baskets were on my head, and in the uppermost basket all kinds of baked goods for Pharaoh, and the birds ate them out of the basket on my head." And Joseph answered and said, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 baskets are 3 days, and within 3 days Pharaoh is going to lift off your head from you and hang you on a tree, and the birds shall eat your flesh from you. And on the 3rd day, Pharaoh's birthday, it came to be that he made a feast for all of his servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and the chief baker among his servants. And he restored the chief cupbearer to his post of cupbearer again, and he placed the cup in Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. And the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but forgot him. There are lessons there about trust to the Father, trust to fellow man. Trust is not an easy thing. Trusting the Father as well is not an easy thing. And obviously there are other lessons there, but what I see is just trust. Trusting somebody to interpret things, trusting the Father, trusting the guy to say, "Hey, this guy told me this, and let's get him out of there too." I mean, it's not an easy thing. I'm going to go ahead with 41. "And it came to be at the end of 2 years' time that Pharaoh had a dream, and saw him standing by the river, and saw 7 crows coming up out of the river." Or no, cows. 7 cows. Wow, I can't read today. "And saw 7 cows coming up out of the river, beautiful looking and fat, and they fed amongst the reeds. Then saw 7 other cows coming up after them out of the river, ugly and lean of flesh, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the river. And the ugly and lean flesh cows ate up the 7 beautiful looking and fat cows. Then Pharaoh awoke. And he slept and dreamed a second time, and saw 7 heads of grain coming up on the stalk, plump and good, and saw 7 lean heads scorched by the east wind coming up after them. And the 7 lean heads swallowed the 7 plump and complete heads. Then Pharaoh awoke and saw it was a dream. And it came to be in the morning that his spirit was moved, and he sent and called for the magicians of Mitzrayim, and all of its wise men. And Pharaoh related to them his dreams, but there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer spoke to Pharaoh, saying, "I remember my crimes this day, when Pharaoh was wroth with his servant, and put me into the confinement in the house of the captain of the guard. Both me and the chief baker, each one of us dreamed a dream in one night. He and I, each of us dreamed according to the interpretations of his own dream. And there was with us a Hebrew youth, a servant of the captain of the guard, and we related to him, and he interpreted our dreams for us. To each man he interpreted according to his own dream, and it came to be as he interpreted for us. So it came to be, he restored me to my office, and he hanged him. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they hurriedly brought him out of the dungeon. And he shaved and changed his garments and came to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. Now I myself have heard it said of you that you understand a dream to interpret it. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. Let Elohim answer Pharaoh with peace. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, See, in my dream I stood on the bank of a river and saw 7 cows coming up out of the river, beautiful looking and fat, and they fed amongst the reeds. Then saw 7 other cows coming up after them, poor and very ugly, and lean of flesh. Such ugliness I have never seen in all the land of Mitzrayim. And the lean of flesh and ugly cows ate up the first 7, the fat cows. Yet when they had eaten them up, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were as ugly as the beginning. And then I awoke. Also I looked in my dream and saw 7 heads coming up on one stalk, complete and good. Then saw 7 heads withered, lean, scorched by the east wind coming up after them. And the lean heads swallowed the 7 good heads. And I spoke to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, the dream of the Pharaoh is one. Elohim has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 heads are 7 years. It is one dream. And the 7 lean and ugly cows which came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty heads scorched by the east wind are 7 years of scarcity of food. This is the word which I spoke to Pharaoh. Elohim has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. See, 7 years of great plenty are coming in all the land of Mitzrayim. But after them 7 years of scarcity of food shall arise, and all the plenty be forgotten in the land of Mitzrayim. And the scarcity of food shall destroy the land. And the plenty shall not be remembered in the land because of the scarcity of food following, for it is very severe. And the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice, because the word is established by Elohim, and Elohim is hastening to do it. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning of wise man, and set him over the land of Mitzrayim. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint overseers over the land to take up 1/5 of the land of Mitzrayim in the 7 years of plenty. And let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up grain under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep the food in the cities. And the food shall be a store for the land, for 7 years of scarcity of food which shall be in the land of Mitzrayim. And do not let the land be cut off by the scarcity of food. And the word was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in his eyes of all the servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, could we find another like him, a man whom is the spirit of Elohim? Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, since Elohim has shown you all of this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. Be over my house, you yourself, and at your mouth all my people shall kiss only in the throne. I am greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, see, I have set you over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh took his seal ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand. And he dressed him in garments of fine linen and put gold chain around his neck. And he had him ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried out before him, bow the knee. And he set him over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without a word from you, let no man lift his hand or foot in all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh called Joseph's name Zanapath-Paneth, and he gave him as a wife Ashna, the daughter of Pharaoh, priest of On. And Joseph went out over the land of Mitzrayim. Now Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Mitzrayim. And in the 7 years of plenty, the ground brought forth generously. And he gathered all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Mitzrayim, and laid up the food in the cities, and laid up every city the food of the fields which surrounded them. And Joseph gathered very much grain as the sand of the sea, until it ceased counting, for it was without number. And to Joseph were born 2 sons before the years of the scarcity of food came, whom Ashna, the daughter of that dude, Pharaoh, priest of On, bore to him. And Joseph called the name of the firstborn Menashashi, for Elohim has made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. These names. And the name of the second he called Ephraim, for Elohim has caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. And 7 years of plenty which were in the land of Mitzrayim came to an end. And the 7 years of scarcity of food began to come. as Joseph had said, and the scarcity of food was in all of the lands. But in all of the land of Mitzrayim there was bread. But when all of the land of Mitzrayim hungered, and the people cried to Pharaoh for bread, Pharaoh said to all the Mitzrayites, "Go to Joseph, do whatever he says to you." And the scarcity of food was over all the face of the earth, and Joseph opened all the storehouses and sold to the Mitzrayites. And the scarcity of food was severe in the land of Mitzrayim, and all of the earth came to Joseph in Mitzrayim to buy grain, because the scarcity of food was severe in all the earth. And I'm going to stop right there today, and I will pick this back up on, well, you will see it on Saturday, obviously, starting at 42 that day. So that's a lot of trust to put into a servant you just taken out of prison because he told you what your dream meant, right? Dreams were obviously very big to these people, and to a lot of people still are, even to me when I have a very vivid dream, like the last time I made a video about it. I hope my dream doesn't come true. I really do. But if it does, I will just have faith where my faith needs to be, and we'll see if I am blessed in all the lands of my affliction as well. We'll just see. If I have enough faith and I try to be righteous, I try not to sin, and I do a good job of those things, then I am sure, without a doubt, that I will be blessed in the land of my affliction. Currently, I think we are all heading for the land of affliction. I think so. It's been a very interesting day. It's not over yet either. It's definitely not over. We still have the 21st to look forward to. But that's not this video. This video is about faith. Getting right where we need to get right. Because anybody who's listening to this obviously either has the belief or has the interest in the belief. And I will say to you that consider the Torah. In my book, I can see in the end of it, because in my book it has all of the quotes in bold print that Yeshua was saying, and it references out of the Old Testament or the Old Covenant where you can find that exact same quote. So in my book I can see where Yeshua was teaching Torah throughout his life. He was teaching Torah. And to that effect, I will give you a quote that I have here from Matthew chapter 7, verse 21. "Not everyone who says to me, 'Master, Master,' shall enter into the reign of the heavens, but he who is doing the desires of my Father in the heavens. Many shall say to me in that day, 'Master, Master, have we not prophesied in your name, and cast out demons in your name, and done many mighty works in your name?' And then I shall declare to them, 'I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness.'" What is the law? The law is the Torah. So I encourage everyone to reconsider the Torah. The first 5 books, including the biblical diet. No matter what someone else tells you, because a lot of people like to tell me what I should interpret from this book and what I should believe from my book. A lot of people want to tell me that. I don't listen to them. I don't listen to them because there's only one that I listen to about the interpretations of this book, and it's the same for Joseph. There's only one who can interpret the dreams, and he uses Joseph to convey that message. So who's to say what I believe or what is being interpreted to me is incorrect when he tells me it's not? And I will leave you with that. Thank you for watching. And yeah, have a very blessed rest of your day. and rest of your week.